The social mask trap, why performing for others drains 70% of your energy. You're not lazy, you're tired from performing. Most of us spend the workday holding a likable, upbeat, on version of ourselves while our real energy quietly leaks out. The pros don't treat that as a personality issue. They treat it like a measurable energy drain. Here's the fast shocker. On social heavy days, masking can spike your cognitive load by 40–70% because your prefrontal bandwidth gets yanked into monitoring and suppression. That's like trying to code or strategize with 5 tabs of self-surveillance open. Over the next 10 minutes, I'll give you a 2-minute audit to spot your daily mask minutes, a neuroscience frame so your brain stops fighting you, and a simple reset to reclaim focus. If you ignore this, you'll keep calling biological overload lack of discipline. This isn't moral failure, it's a neurological tax. And there's a secret step that cuts it this week. Calm the amygdala, lower the metabolic cost, and free up your working memory. Let's pay off that promise fast. Do a 2-minute audit, open your calendar and mark every interaction from today. For each one, estimate minutes spent on. Multiply each by one simple question. Did I monitor myself more than the task? If yes, add a 1. Rough math, every one flags extra executive load. Your working memory was partly spent on impression management. Tally those minutes. That's your daily mask minutes. Now definitions, so we're not mixing signals. Masking is suppressing true state cues while performing a preferred persona and actively managing impressions. Professionalism is meeting standards. Clarity, reliability, baseline warmth, no self-erasure required. Prosocial effort is being supportive without deleting yourself. The thing most people miss is that masking and professionalism feel similar in the body, but only masking forces ongoing self-suppression plus cue tracking. There's a spectrum here. Autistic and ADHD masking is well documented, but the underlying mechanisms, self-monitoring, inhibition, and rapid cue tracking, show up for everyone when we think our identity or status is at risk. The reason this matters, that 70% drain, isn't a single moment. It's accumulated cognitive and emotional labor across the day. Working memory gets taxed, and the metabolic cost of sustained control rises because your brain is running costly top-down inhibition. Anchor this to the 3 levers from self-determination theory: autonomy, competence, and safety. Masking hits safety first, specifically the relatedness and belonging piece. When safety feels low, your motivation shifts from I choose to I have to, which makes autonomy and competence harder to access. So why does your nervous system read masking as threat? 2 reasons. First, amygdala vigilance. Your salience network flags reputation risk like a physical danger. Second, the social pain circuitry overlaps with physical pain pathways, so exclusion fear lights up regions linked to pain's unpleasantness. That's the hidden tax. Up next, how that risk response hijacks your attention and drains your battery. The nervous system interprets performance as risk. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Your brain treats, I must keep this image like I must avoid harm. When the self feels observed or judged, the amygdala ramps up and the salience network throws alerts. Reputation risk gets tagged as significant, so your system starts scanning for micro threats, tone shifts, faces, pauses. That vigilance costs you. The what? Impression management steals executive bandwidth. Your prefrontal cortex has to juggle 3 things at once: track cues, inhibit natural responses, and generate the right script. That's dual tasking layered on top of your actual work. The result? A working memory tax that slows complex reasoning and narrows your problem-solving field. If you've ever left back-to-backs unable to make a simple decision, that's not weakness. That's executive load. Now here's where most people mess up. They assume more charisma fixes this, but the reason it backfires is micro-dissociation. Part of your attention is on the task, part is on monitoring yourself from the outside. This split is classic dual-task interference. Accuracy drops, depth thins, and you default to safe, shallow moves. It's not you losing talent, it's you losing bandwidth to surveillance. Let's talk pain circuitry. Social pain, rejection fear, exclusion cues, activates regions tied to the unpleasantness of physical pain, especially the dorsal anterior cingulate and anterior insula. That overlap explains why a tense meeting can feel physically draining. Your body is acting like it's avoiding a hot stove, not just a tough conversation. The metabolic cost compounds it. Sustained top-down control needs glucose and oxygen. Hold that on state long enough and you hit a faster fatigue curve. Your brain is sprinting a marathon, powerful in short bursts, costly when constant. So late in the day, small tasks feel heavy and your motivation blunts. That's not a personal flaw, it's resource math. Here's the kicker. After high-masking days, your autonomic balance tilts. Parasympathetic activity pulls back, which shows up as lower HRV. With less rest and digest, your sleep gets shallower, and next-day impulsivity and decision fatigue climb. You try to fix it with more effort, but effort is the thing that already drained you. This clicked for me when a client kept refueling with high-energy social blocks. Output didn't rise, error rates did. Once we lowered vigilance, tiny boundaries, brief decompressions, their HRV recovered, sleep deepened, and strategic work finally stuck. If you remember nothing else, the cost isn't socializing, it's performing under threat. Reduce the threat, you free bandwidth. And once safety lifts, autonomy and competence switch back on. Next, I'll show you the fast tests and resets to make that shift stick. Belief break, just be more social backfires. Now you might be thinking, maybe I just need to get more social reps. If I practice enough, it'll feel easy. That sounds logical, but it quietly assumes the problem is volume, not fit. When safety is low, adding more reps just multiplies the same threat signal. You don't build stamina by sprinting on a sprained ankle. The thing most people miss is that energy comes from fit and safety, not from how many conversations you have. When your nervous system tags an interaction as risky, your motivation flips from I choose to I have to. That's controlled motivation. Autonomy collapses, competence is harder to express, and your performance narrows to impression maintenance. More exposure under those conditions isn't training, it's strain. This clicked for me when an extroverted sales lead doubled coffee chats to get back on the horse. Output didn't rise. Win rates dipped and follow-up quality slipped. Why? Overexposure triggered dopamine drain, too many reward prediction errors, and a slow cortisol creep from constant vigilance. Their system adapted by conserving energy. Fewer bold moves, more scripts. In short, more social didn't equal more effective. It equaled more guarded. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Charisma can't override a redlined amygdala. Trying harder usually means more self-surveillance, smiling bigger, filling silences, perfecting tone. That raises cognitive load, which steals the very bandwidth you need for judgment, creativity, and nuance. It's a loop. You monitor more to perform better, which makes you perform worse, so you monitor even more. So what actually works? Safety first. Lift the perceived threat, and your brain stops hoarding resources. Once vigilance drops, autonomy returns, you can choose how to show up, and competence follows because working memory goes back to the task instead of the performance. You don't need to be more social. You need to be more in control of when and how you're social. If you've been white-knuckling energy with pep talks, you're not broken, you're overdrawn. We'll fix that by changing the conditions, not the core of who you are. And once you feel that downshift, you'll realize it's not about being less friendly. It's about being less threatened. Let me show you exactly how to pull those levers. The 3 levers applied to masking. Before we continue, you need to understand the simple engine behind sustainable energy. The 3 levers: safety, autonomy, competence. Pull them in that order, and masking drops without you forcing it. Start with safety. Why? Because if your amygdala thinks you're at risk, it will keep grabbing the steering wheel. The fix is pre- and post-social regulation that tells your nervous system, we're okay. Practically, that's 2 moves. First, pre-regulate, 90 seconds, eyes on a soft horizon, slow nasal breathing to a gentle 4 to 6 second inhale and longer exhale. The reason this works is it nudges parasympathetic tone up and lowers salience tagging. Second, set a clear frame at the start of interactions, purpose, length, and scope. We've got 20 minutes to decide A or B, let's hold tangents. That trims ambiguity, which is a common trigger for DACC and insula threat signals. After the call, post-regulate. Stand, shake out tension, 1 more slow cadence minute. That small sandwich shrinks the vigilance window and protects HRV later. Now autonomy. This is about shifting from have to choose to. The shortcut nobody teaches is a tiny boundary script you install before the day starts. Write one sentence you can use 3 ways: open, redirect, and exit. For example, I choose to do this async because it keeps our decision quality high, or I can do 5 minutes now, then send a doc, or I'm out at the half, I'll summarize actions. These lines restore agency without blowing up relatedness. Also, choose your cadence. Stack similar interactions, then buffer. Your brain pays a metabolic tax for state switching. Batching cuts the cost. Once safety and autonomy lift, competence can breathe. Here, S where you pre-commit to 2 or 3 true self micro behaviors that reduce self-monitoring. Maybe it's your natural speaking pace, a default, thinking out loud clause, or a standard, let me write it up bridged. These micro behaviors reduce the need to simulate a persona, which frees working memory for depth. If you remember nothing else here, competence shows when your bandwidth isn't hostage to performance. Let me show you the flywheel in action. Safety reduces vigilance and frees bandwidth. With bandwidth back, autonomy choices are easier. You can pick a sync over sync, decline scope creep, and control timing. Those choices cut impression management and protect working memory. Protected working memory lets competence show up: clearer writing, better judgment, faster synthesis. Seeing better results further lowers threat, which deepens safety. Once you nail that, everything else clicks. Okay, so what do you change tomorrow? Pair one safety ritual with one autonomy script and one competence micro behavior. Example stack for a high mask morning. Pre-call horizon breathing, open with a scoped agenda, use I choose to send a draft by 3 p.m., and speak at your natural pace. Post-call, 1 minute of downshift and a 5-minute no-performance sprint on a concrete deliverable. You'll feel the vigilance drop as the day goes, and your task depth will quietly climb. The game changer nobody talks about is order. Don't chase competence first. Build safety, claim autonomy, then competence appears as the byproduct. That's how you stop performing to feel safe and start designing safety so you can perform. Map your mask load, the 5-variable audit. Let me show you exactly how to see the leak. We're going to build your mask load index with 5 variables: duration, density, power imbalance, ambiguity, and identity dissonance. Each one turns the vigilance dial and taxes executive bandwidth. Score each from 1 to 5 for any interaction, then add them up. Higher totals equal more amygdala vigilance, more prefrontal load, and a bigger metabolic cost. First, duration. How long were you on? A quick 5-minute check-in might be a 1. A 60-minute high-stakes call? That's likely a 4 or 5. Longer time in performance mode means more sustained top-down control, which eats glucose and oxygen and drags HRV down later. Second, density. How stacked were your interactions? If you bounced from meeting to meeting with under 5 minutes between, score it high. Dense stacks amplify dual task interference because you never clear the self-monitoring tab. Fewer buffers, more load. Third, power imbalance. Who held the leverage, your boss, a client, a panel? Power gaps spike threat detection. When outcomes feel tied to approval, the salience network flags every cue and you inhibit more of your natural behavior. That's a fast route to executive fatigue. Fourth, ambiguity. Were expectations, roles, or goals unclear? Vague agendas force extra cue tracking and script generation. The DACC and Insula work harder under uncertainty, which is why unclear meetings feel twice as tiring for the same calendar time. Fifth, identity dissonance. Did you have to talk, dress, or decide in a way that felt unlike you? Any mismatch between your always true self and the role you performed adds microsuppression. Even small shifts, toning down directness, avoiding questions you'd normally ask, stack into real load. Now score an event. Say you had a 45-minute client pitch, duration 4, density 4, power imbalance 4, ambiguity 3, identity dissonance 3. Total, 18. That's a high mask load index. Do this for the day, then the week. You'll start to see cliffs, days that reliably leave you depleted, and valleys where you recover. Turn those scores into a mask heat map. Color high totals red, medium yellow, low green. Next to each day, jot 3 notes: sleep onset time, perceived depth of sleep, and a 1-line ease rating from 1 to 5. Watch the pattern. High red stacks tend to predict lower next morning ease, shallower sleep, and lower HRV if you track it. That's not mood, it's physiology. Now here S where most people mess up. They only look at meetings. Add non-meeting performance windows too: Slack storms, camera on carking, networking pings, even beyond hallway time. If you monitored yourself more than the task, score it. Once you map, tag red slots where multiple variables stack. 3 or more scores at 4 or 5, that's red. Green slots are async blocks, solo deep work, or supportive ones with clear scope and low dissonance. Your goal isn't 0 red, it's dose control and buffer math. Each red unit gets at least 1.5 green units within 24 hours to normalize HRV. 2 quick examples. A recruiter with 6 interviews back-to-back had density 5, ambiguity 4, power 3 because candidates still judge. Total per block, 16-18. Adding 90-second resets, scoped intros, and a protected 30-minute green buffer dropped their weekly red total by 20% and improved next-day ease. A product lead moved one high-ambiguity stakeholder call from Monday morning to Wednesday afternoon with a green buffer before and after. Same content, lower index, fewer errors in Tuesday's roadmap write-up. Build your profile, then we'll plug in circuit breakers. The 7 circuit breakers. You've mapped the red slots. Now we install circuit breakers so the load doesn't snowball. Think of these as tiny switches that lower vigilance, protect working memory, and keep your energy from leaking. First, pre-commit scripts. Write 3 I choose to because lines you can deploy on demand, an opener, a redirect, and an exit. Opener, I choose to keep this to 20 minutes so we decide A or B redirect. I'm choosing a sync for the details so we protect decision quality. Exit, I'm stepping out at the half, I'll send actions. The reason this works is it restores autonomy and reduces controlled motivation. Your brain stops asking, do I have to be on? And starts accepting the frame you set. Common mistake, apologizing after the script. Don't dilute it. Deliver it clean and warm. Variations you can copy. Opener for high-status rooms. I'm choosing a 15-minute decision window, A or B by 15, parking lot after. Redirect when scope sprawls. I'm choosing a sync for details so we don't trade clarity for speed, doc lands by 3 p.m. Exit under pressure. I'm out at 30 to protect delivery. I'll send owners and next steps. Physiology. Clear time boundaries reduce ambiguity, which quiets the DACC insula threat tagging and lowers amygdala vigilance. Lower vigilance means fewer inhibitory demands on the prefrontal cortex, freeing working memory. Pitfalls, stacking justifications, because and also, which invites debate. Upspeak that signals uncertainty, adding sorry just, which reintroduces impression management. Second, role labels. Define scope up front so ambiguity doesn't drive over monitoring. Try, today I'm wearing the editor hat, not the brainstormer, or I'm here to clarify requirements, not commit resources. Role labels shrink the unknowns that poke the DACC and insula. Your system stops scanning for what am I missing and starts executing inside clear lanes. If someone pushes beyond scope, use a gentle loop. Sounds like new scope. Do we want to park it or schedule a separate decision? Variations you can copy. Accountability lane. I'm the editor today. Final commit sits with product by Friday. Resource guard. I'm here to surface risks. Resourcing decisions live in Monday's review. External calls. Today I'm the integrator synthesizing inputs, not approving spend. Physiology. Explicit roles reduce uncertainty signals that otherwise raise salience and heart rate variability suppression. Predictable lanes reduce the need for self-simulation. Pitfalls. Vague labels, supporting, that don't change behavior. Failing to restate the label when drift appears. Using labels as shields without warmth. Third, micro-escapes. Between interactions, take 90 seconds for a parasympathetic reset. Soften your gaze to a distant horizon. Breathe through your nose with a relaxed 4 to 6 second inhale and a slightly longer exhale. Let your shoulders drop on the exhale. You're sending a not in danger signal that bumps HRV upward and downshifts salience tagging. If you can, stand and shake your arms for 10 seconds to discharge tension. Mistake to avoid, grabbing your phone. Scrolling reactivates vigilance. Variations you can copy. 30-30-30. 30 seconds horizon gaze, 30 seconds slow exhales in 4, out 6-8, 30 seconds shake. Box downshift. In 4 hold 2, out 6 hold 2, repeat 6 cycles. Grounding press, palms on desk, slow exhale, feel feet 3 reps. Physiology. Long exhales stimulate vagal pathways. Horizon gaze widens the visual field, signaling safety to the midbrain. gentle movement discharges sympathetic activation. Pitfalls: treating resets as optional, doing them while reading Slack, overbreathing, lightheadedness instead of slow, easy cadence. Fourth, environmental anchors. Control what you can: seat position, lighting, agenda visibility, and notification state. Sit where you can see the room or the participants' grid without craning. Lower harsh lighting if possible. Put the agenda in the shared doc or on screen. Kill non-critical notifications. These are small, but they cut background salience triggers and reduce the need to scan. If the room is chaotic, name it. Let's anchor on the dock so we're not juggling tabs. That one sentence recenters attention. Variations you can copy. Camera ergonomics. Hide self-view. Pull the window under the camera so gaze aligns naturally. Acoustic control, earbuds on, noise suppression on, name it if needed. I'm muting side noise so we can track decisions. Physical prop. Keep a visible timer or decision checklist on screen. Physiology. Fewer novel stimuli mean fewer salience pings. Consistent sensory input lowers the baseline metabolic cost of monitoring. Pitfalls: leaving notifications on just in case, tolerating glare that forces micro squints, agenda tabs buried behind windows. Fifth, asynchronous first swaps. Move anything that doesn't need live impression management to templates and docs. Status updates, pre-reads, option analyses, ship them as async artifacts with crisp prompts. Skim 3 mins, comment by 3 p.m. on risks only. You preserve working memory for synthesis instead of performance. Start with a weekly default. If it's info or options, it's async by default. Mistake to avoid: sending walls of text. Use bullets, bold decisions, and a single question to focus feedback. Variations you can copy. Template opener. Context 3 bullets, options A, B, C. Ask, choose 1 risk to kill. Comment lanes. Thread 1 risks, thread 2 dependencies, no drive-bys. Escalation clause. If 2+ blockers by noon, we'll do a 10-minute decision huddle. Physiology. Writing externalizes memory load, shrinking prefrontal juggling. Async reduces real-time social evaluation, dropping amygdala tone. Pitfalls: using async as a dump without a decision ask, mixing FYI and decisions, unclear deadlines. Sixth, social tapering. Treat high-mask events like athletic doses. Ramp into them with a green buffer, then taper down after. Before, 5 to 15 minutes of low-demand prep and a micro-escape. After, a no-performance window, camera off, notifications down, simple physical reset. Cluster similar conversations when you can, and avoid mixing a red slot with deep work immediately after. Dose control keeps dopamine from crashing and cortisol from creeping all day. If you must stack reds, extend the taper. Variations you can copy. Red cluster recipe: 10-minute pre-taper, plus 2x 25-minute calls, plus 10-minute debrief, plus 5-minute horizon, plus 20-minute async capture. Emergency stack: if 3 reds back-to-back, insert a 3-minute hallway walk and 1 shallow tile before re-entry. End-of-day taper: last red ends 90 minutes before shutdown. CNS buffer sits right after. Physiology: tapering smooths dopamine valleys and prevents sustained cortisol elevation. Buffers let parasympathetic tone recover so HRV normalizes within a day. Pitfalls: squeezing a quick sync into buffers, scheduling a deep block immediately after a red, compensating with sugar caffeine spikes that boomerang. Seventh, debrief ritual. Close the loop so stress doesn't trail into your evening and trash sleep. 2 minutes, 3 steps. Step 1, cognitive offload, write 3 bullets, what decided, what unclear, next move. Step 2, somatic release, 10 slow exhales, shoulders down, jaw unhooked. Step 3, micro-in, start the first 60 seconds of the next action so re-entry later is easy. This completes the stress cycle, helps sleep onset, and frees the prefrontal from holding the whole meeting in RAM. Variations you can copy. 3x3 card, 3 decisions, 3 risks, 3 next steps. Snap a photo to the thread. Voice memo, 45-second recap to yourself, auto-transcribe to the doc. 1-line stand, write the 1 sentence you'll defend tomorrow. Physiology, offloading reduces rumination drivers in the default mode network. Slow exhales signal safety. Initiating the next action creates a Zeigarnik effect closure. Pitfalls, turning the debrief into a new task, skipping the somatic step, leaving the unclear list without a time to resolve. Let me show you how these layer. Red slot coming, lead with a role label and a time-bounded opener. Run the agenda. If the conversation widens, redirect with your script. End on the half with a clean exit. Micro escape. Jot your debrief. Drop into an async task for 5 minutes to reassert competence. That stack turns what used to be a 90-minute recovery into 15. Advanced layer. Pair environmental anchors. Agenda visible, self-view hidden with tapering math, 1.5x green per red hour. Add a glycemic steady snack before the second red to stabilize dopamine, then schedule a CNS buffer before evening work. 2 quick micro stories. A founder used scripts and role labels to shrink ambiguity in investor calls. Their heart rate steadied, they spoke at a natural pace, and post-call write-ups took half the time. A recruiter added horizon breathing and a 2-minute debrief between interviews. Their end-of-day, brain fog, rating dropped from a 4 to a 2 without changing total meetings. If you remember nothing else, install the switch before the surge. Scripts claim autonomy, labels cut threat, resets restore safety, and async
Case
protects
studies.
competence. Intention right
One of
arrow,
each,
obstacle
every red.
right arrow, stakes right arrow resolution. Case 1, a manager with back-to-backs. Intention, protect team focus and hit deadlines without adding headcount. Obstacle, 6 one-hour meetings a day, most with shifting agendas and mixed audiences. Stakes, project slipping, engineers context switching, and the manager ending each day so depleted that prioritization fell apart. Resolution started with a 1-week mask heat map. Red slots clustered around mixed status stand-ups and vague stakeholder reviews. We installed 3 circuit breakers, scoped role labels, async first status, and 90-second micro escapes. Monday's stand-up moved to a 3-bullet async doc, risks, blockers, decisions needed. Live time shrunk to 12 minutes. The manager opened each review with, "I'm wearing the editor hat. We're choosing between option A or B in 20 minutes." Between calls, eyes soft horizon and slow nasal cadence. The result? Fewer off-agenda detours, cleaner decisions, and a measurable rebound. HRV trended up midweek, sleep onset shortened by 15 minutes, and decision errors, like greenlighting half-baked tasks, dropped. Their attention watch time rose about 28% by their own task depth minutes, and the team hit the next sprint without weekend catch-up. Mechanics to note. Role labels killed ambiguity. Async turned status into artifacts. Micro escapes clipped rumination. The combination reduced DACC insula activation and freed prefrontal bandwidth for prioritization. Case 2, a freelancer juggling client tone codes. Intention, keep clients happy while doing thoughtful work. Obstacle, 3 brands, 3 personas, constant self-editing to fit the vibe. Stakes, delayed drafts, creeping churn risk, and that hollowed out feeling after every feedback call. We began with autonomy scripts and role labels. Before each kickoff, "I'm here as the strategist today, we'll lock message architecture, then I'll write a draft by Friday." That single line cut ambiguity and stopped scope creep mid-call. Then a redirect script. "I choose async for examples so we protect decision quality. Expect a doc with 3 options." Competence unlocked when they committed to 2 always true micro behaviors, their natural speaking pace and a default, thinking out loud clause. With safety rituals bookending meetings, they felt less need to simulate a chirpier persona. The change showed up fast. Drafts accepted with fewer rounds, meetings 30% shorter, and their daily mask load index fell by about 4 points on heavy days. Subjective ease rose, and the churn scare flipped. One client expanded scope because the work felt clearer and more confident. Exactly what happens when working memory goes to the task instead of the performance. Mechanics to note. Scripts reintroduced choice. Identity-level cues reduced self-surveillance. Async shifted evaluation from persona to product. Case 3, a neurodivergent creator getting ground down by meetings. Intention, keep uploading weekly while partnering with brands and collaborators. Obstacle, high-density calls, camera on by default, and constant code switching. Stakes, creeping burnout, missed upload weeks, and shaky income. We mapped their week. Red peaks came from Tuesday brand reviews and Thursday collab brainstorms, high power imbalance, high ambiguity, high density. We applied tapering, async swaps, and identity-level agreements. Tapering looked like this: 15-minute green buffer before and after red slots, plus micro escapes between. Async swaps moved briefing and options to a 1-page doc with timestamp clips, so live time focused on final choices. Identity agreements included. I always pause before answering. I don't mirror slang I don't use off camera, and I ask one clarifying question before committing. They rehearsed these in low-stakes DMs first, then scaled to brand calls. 2 weeks in, their mask load index on Tuesdays dropped from 1820 to 1315. Sleep efficiency improved, shorter time to fall asleep, fewer wake-ups, and upload cadence stabilized. The real payoff, better on-camera presence. Without the residue of performance mode, recording days felt less like climbing out of a hole and more like starting already in gear. Mechanics to note. Tapering stabilized dopamine. Agreements created identity predictability. Async constrained impression management. Case 4. A leadership transition during a high-pressure negotiation. Intention. A newly promoted VP of operations needed to negotiate vendor terms after a supply shock while signaling steady leadership to an anxious org. Obstacle. High power imbalance with a legacy vendor, a hostile first round, and internal eyes on every move. Stakes. Millions in quarterly costs, executive trust in the new VP, and a culture primed to revert to fire drills. We ran a 5-day prep using the 3 levers plus circuit breakers. Day 1 safety build. The VP rehearsed a role label opener. I'm wearing the integrator hat. We're here to land volume guarantees and clarity on SLAs, and practiced 90-second micro-escapes between mock rounds. Environmental anchors set. Agenda on screen, self-view hidden, timer visible. Day 2, autonomy scripts, 3 lines ready. Opener, I'm choosing a 20-minute decision window per term so we keep momentum. Redirect. I'm choosing a sync on data validation, send the audit trail. We'll confirm by 3 p.m. Exit. I'm out at 30, I'll send red lines. Day 3, competence micro behaviors. Natural pace, a single clarifying question before each commitment, and a written recap within 10 minutes of each session. Day 4, social tapering. Red slots clustered 10, 0, 0, 11, 30 with a pre-taper, horizon gaze, protein snack, and a post-taper, 5-minute walk, 2-minute debrief, 20-minute async capture. Day 5, identity agreements. I don't bluff timelines. I won't mirror aggression. I ask for a 5-minute pause if data's unclear. In the room, the VP led with the role label and decision clock. When the vendor pushed for off-agenda concessions, the VP used the redirect script and parked items cleanly. Environmental anchors mattered. Agenda front and center, notifications off, self-view hidden. After each round, a debrief ritual locked decisions and started the next action, drafted 1 clause. Outcome. A 2-tier pricing model with volume flex, a documented SLA with penalties, and internal trust up. HRV trended up mid-week despite negotiations, sleep onset shortened by about 10 minutes, and the executive team noted the negotiation felt calm. The culture signal landed. Decisions through clarity, not performance. Mechanics to note. Safety first, state room, lanes, then autonomy, scripts, time boxes, then competence, micro behaviors, artifacts. The vendor escalated twice. The VP invoked the 5-minute pause both times, protecting working memory and keeping tone steady. Now a mini stack that shows mechanics in motion. A product lead faced a quarterly roadmap review infamous for derailment. Intention, lock priorities without a 3-hour slog. Obstacle, senior stakeholders adding pet features mid-meeting. Stakes, scattered roadmap, team whiplash, and late quarters. We built a pre-commit opener. I'm here as the editor. Goal is to confirm the top 5 bets. New ideas go to the parking lot doc for Friday's triage. Agenda shared ahead with a crisp async pre-read. Risks, capacity, trade-offs. In meeting, the lead kept a live doc visible, checked decisions as they happened, and used a clean exit. We're at time, confirming we've locked 5. I'll summarize, and any parked items roll to Friday. They layered in micro escapes before and after, plus a 2-minute debrief to finish the stress cycle. Outcome, the review ended in 52 minutes, no pet features squeezed in, and the next day's deep work block produced a tighter spec than usual. Their HRV nudged up, sleep onset shortened, and they reported that afternoon felt quiet for the first time this quarter. If there's a pattern here, it's simple. Make safety explicit, claim autonomy in small scriptable ways, and let competence follow. You don't need heroics. You need repeatable switches that keep the amygdala from running your calendar. MVM, minimum viable momentum for social days. This is where we stop relying on willpower. Minimum viable momentum is the smallest set of actions that keeps you moving when social load is high. Think of it as energy scaffolding. You optimize for working memory availability, not hero hours. Here's the model. On any high mask day, build a mask day MVM stack, 1 deep tile and 2 shallow tiles. The deep tile is a single, clearly defined deliverable you can push forward in a protected, no-performance sprint. The shallow tiles are low cognitive moves that still advance your priorities: admin, tidy code comments, outline headings, light edits. The reason this works is it avoids dopamine drain. You get 1 meaningful progress hit without overtaxing executive function, plus 2 easy wins that stabilize motivation. Now, how do you pick them? Use your mask load index. If your morning has a red 16+, cap your deep tile to a tight slice, 15 to 25 minutes max with a clear start line. Draft intro paragraph with 2 bullets, not finish white paper. If your index is yellow, you can stretch the deep tile to 45 minutes. Never set a deep tile that requires live performance. You're protecting bandwidth, not spending it. Timebox with protected no-performance sprints. That means camera off, notifications down, no Slack lurking. Add a sentence to your calendar hold. Heads down sprint, async me. Your brain pays a metabolic tax every time you switch states. Shield this window so you're not dragged back into monitoring. Here's the step-by-step you can run today. Before your first meeting, choose your stack. Deep tile, 1 specific chunk you can actually finish. Shallow tile A, a 3 to 5 minute administrative win. Shallow tile B, a 5 to 10 minute structural win, outline, rename files, stub headings. Put them in order: shallow, deep, shallow. Why this order? You enter with an easy win to prime momentum, then you cash it on the deep tile, then you taper with an easy action that closes the loop and keeps dopamine from crashing. Install a momentum gate between interactions. After any red slot, run your 90-second micro escape, then immediately start 60 seconds of the next shallow tile. That tiny start is your re-entry ramp. It stops the "I'll just check messages" spiral that reactivates vigilance. Your success metric here isn't total output. It's continuity under load. Did momentum carry through the day despite social spikes? Tracking proxies help. Mark a check if you hit all 3 tiles. Mark a dot if you hit 2. Over time, 2 checks a day on red-heavy weeks beat sporadic big pushes followed by crashes. Parasympathetic stability beats raw hours. Let me show you exactly how this looks. Morning, stand up, then a 3-minute admin shallow tile, submit expenses. Micro escape. Deep tile, outline 3 bullets for the strategy memo, timer for 20 minutes, no performance. Micro escape. Shallow tile B, rename project folders and drop in placeholders. Back to meetings. After lunch, repeat with a new stack if you've got gas. If not, keep it to 1 shallow and call it. Common mistakes: picking a deep tile that depends on others. Avoid that. Making tiles vague, work on deck. Always define the start. Skipping the taper shallow tile. Without it, you leave the deep tile open in your head, which pulls attention back into monitoring. Don't do that. Once you run this for 3 days, you'll notice something subtle. The day still has red spikes, but your momentum line flattens. Fewer stalls, easier re-entry, less end-of-day fog. That's the point. Momentum makes the next good choice cheaper, and that's how you win social days. Boundaries that don't backfire. Let's make boundaries that keep your energy without blowing up relationships. The trick is preserving autonomy and relatedness at the same time. Start with 1 anchor phrase: "I choose to because." This shifts the frame from obligation to ownership and tells the other person why the boundary helps the shared goal. Use 3 versions: soft open, conditional yes, and firm exit. Soft open: I choose to keep this to 20 minutes because clear time boxes help us decide faster. Conditional yes: I can do a quick first pass today if we move the full review async, better quality that way. Firm exit: I'm out at the half because I'm on deadline. I'll send a summary and next steps. Notice there's no apology layered on top. The why keeps relatedness intact, and the choice preserves autonomy. When your nervous system hears choice, vigilance drops. Offer alternative paths so a no doesn't feel like abandonment. Swap to an async doc, office hours, or limited windows. Try: I'm choosing async so we protect decision quality. Drop comments by 3 p.m. Or, I've got office hours Thursday 2-3, bring it then and we'll land it. Alternatives reduce impression management because you're not improvising live, and they protect working memory by moving detail to text. Preempt guilt with team-level competence framing. Say, I'm choosing this cadence because it keeps our error rate low. Or, if I jump now, I'll degrade the deliverable. Let me ship the draft first. You're signaling competence without self-erasure. People accept boundaries faster when the benefit is collective, not just personal comfort. Use an escalation ladder when power is lopsided. Start with a soft no. I can't add this today without slipping the current delivery. If pressed, a conditional yes. I can take it if we drop X or shift Y. What's your preference? If pressure continues, a firm no with scope clarity. That's outside my role today. Happy to schedule a separate decision with the right owners. The latter keeps safety intact by avoiding sudden confrontation while still closing the door. Under power imbalance, clarity beats heat. Calibrate tone to culture without masking. Keep warmth, keep brevity, keep the why. Avoid over-explaining, that invites debate on your boundary. One sentence, one rationale, one alternative. If someone challenges you, don't relitigate. Loop back to the benefit. To keep quality high, I'm sticking with a sync for details. If they escalate, park it. Sounds like a bigger change? Let's schedule time. A quick micro story. A PM who felt trapped in ad hoc slacks added a single boundary. I'm choosing to check Slack at 15 past each hour so I don't fragment the spec. Want me to see something now? Tag urgent. Result: fewer pings, better spec quality, no social penalty. Why it worked: clear rationale, clear alternative path, and it preserved relatedness by naming a way to reach them. Finally, script the exit before you enter. Write your opener, redirect, and exit on a sticky note. Boundaries fail when you try to invent them mid-threat. Pre-commit, then deliver them early, at the top of the meeting, inside the calendar invite, or in the first reply. You'll feel the vigilance drop the moment you set the lane. Nervous system hygiene, dopamine drain resets. Boundaries hold the door, hygiene calms the room. Your job on high mask days is to keep dopamine steady and the amygdala quiet. Think of this as tiny autonomic resets that make everything else cheaper. First, the 3-minute decompression. Between interactions, run this sequence. Eyes on a soft horizon, slow nasal breathing with a relaxed 4 to 6 second inhale and a slightly longer exhale. Let your shoulders ride the exhale down. Do 3 cycles scanning head, jaw, shoulders for release. Why this works: you're nudging parasympathetic tone up, which bumps HRV and lowers salience tagging. It's short enough to fit anywhere, powerful enough to shift your state. Common mistake: multitasking it with your phone. Don't. Screens re-engage vigilance. Second, glycemic steadiness. On social heavy days, avoid reward spikes that crash your focus 2 hours later. Front-load protein and fiber, keep simple sugars for later, and pair caffeine with food. Stable blood sugar helps stabilize dopamine, which keeps motivation from yo-yoing after a tough call. If you snack, think slow burn: nuts, yogurt, a piece of fruit with nut butter. Tiny change, outsized steadiness. Third, install a somatic bookmark that links end of call to downshift. Choose one physical cue, a palm press on the desk, a shoulder roll, or a slow neck turn that you do right after you say, "Thanks all, ending here." Same cue every time. You're conditioning a parasympathetic response to the moment you hang up. After a week, your body will start downshifting on autopilot, which means less manual effort to feel calm. Fourth, create an evening CNS buffer before any deep work or creative push. Give yourself a 10-20 minute low cortisol window. Dim lights, light stretching, nasal breathing, no new inputs. Then start the task. The reason this helps is you're not dragging the day's social residue into your focus block. It improves sleep onset later by separating activation states instead of crashing from a wired brain straight into bed. Fifth, bundle micro movement. Every 90 minutes, stand and do a 1-minute shake or a wall push-off sequence. Movement discharges sympathetic tone and interrupts the freeze-like stillness that can amplify anxiety. Pair it with 1 breath count ladder: inhale 4, exhale 6, inhale 4, exhale 8, then back to 6. It's simple and it works. Sixth, daylight and gaze. If you can, get 2 to 5 minutes of outdoor light between morning meetings. It sets your circadian clock and improves sleep quality that night. If outdoor isn't possible, face a window and soften your gaze to the widest field you can hold. Wider visual fields tell the brain, not in a tunnel, not in danger. That tiny change drops arousal. 7th, plan a dopamine floor. Put one guaranteed, low-effort, meaningful action late afternoon, a 5-minute tidy of your workspace, a thank you note, a quick win on a dock. You're setting a floor so motivation doesn't crater after the last red slot. Keep it predictable and satisfying, not thrilling. Floors beat spikes. Now stitch these together around your day. Before the first call, 1 minute of horizon breathing. Between reds, 3-minute decompression plus your somatic bookmark. Lunch, protein plus fiber, light walk if possible. Mid-afternoon, micro movement and a dopamine floor action. Before evening deep work, a 15-minute CNS buffer. After shutdown, 2 minutes of easy breathing to mark the end. 2 quick examples. A support lead added the somatic bookmark, a brief palm press and exhale, after every ticket escalation call. Within a week, end-of-day agitation dropped, and they fell asleep faster. A designer who rode sugar waves swapped in a protein-first lunch and a 5-minute light walk. The 3 p.m. crash evaporated, and the last design block of the day became their most consistent win. If you remember nothing else, you're not chasing calm, you're installing it. Small physical cues tell your nervous system it's safe, which preserves dopamine and frees up working memory. Do the same simple things at the same times, attached to the same triggers. Consistency beats intensity. And paired with clean boundaries, Hygiene turns social heavy days from energy leaks into manageable loads. Tracking, metrics, and feedback loops. Let's make this measurable so progress compounds instead of relying on vibes. Start with 3 buckets: metrics, biomarkers, and behavioral proxies. Keep it lightweight and consistent. Metrics first. Track your mask load index daily and weekly. Use your 5 variables: duration, density, power imbalance, ambiguity, identity dissonance, sum per interaction, then total per day. Add 2 more lines: recovery time and task depth minutes. Recovery time is how long it takes to feel mentally clear after a red slot. Write the minutes. Task depth minutes are uninterrupted focus blocks where you weren't performing. 15 minutes or longer, camera off, notifications off. Link these to your heat map so you can see energy cliffs. Red totals up, depth down, buffers added, depth up. Biomarkers next. If you track HRV, note your morning baseline trend, not the single number. Look for a gentle rebound after days you use circuit breakers. No wearable? Use sleep efficiency proxies, time to fall asleep and wake-ups you remember. Add subjective ease, 1 to 5 each morning on how easy is today's start. These aren't perfect, but trends tell the story. When parasympathetic tone recovers, sleep onset shortens and ease ticks up. Behavioral proxies are your ground truth. Count reschedules, async uptake, and meeting length. Reschedules dropping suggests better boundary clarity. Async uptake rising, more comments in docs, fewer quick calls, means impression management load is falling. Meeting length shrinking shows role labels and scoped agendas are working. Also watch decision latency, how long from proposal to yes/no. Clearer lanes usually cut that time. Now stitch this into a weekly retro. 15 minutes, same time, same day. Ask 4 questions. 1. Which day had the steepest cliff, highest mask load index with the lowest depth minutes? 2. Where did circuit breakers land and what moved? 3. Which red slot can I move or buffer this week? 4. Which script or role label needs an upgrade? Then implement 3 tiny changes. Move 1 red slot, add 1 green buffer within 24 hours of a red, and upgrade 1 script line for clarity and brevity. A quick example. If Tuesday shows an index of 19, depth of 20 minutes, and next morning ease at 2, you've got an energy cliff. You might move the highest ambiguity meeting to midweek, add a pre-read to cut uncertainty, and bookend it with a green buffer plus a 90-second reset. The following week, watch for a small HRV uptick, shorter sleep onset, and more depth minutes. That's your signal the system's working. Common mistakes to avoid. Chasing perfect data instead of trends don't. 1 clean measure per bucket beats dashboards you won't maintain. Changing 5 variables at once, keep changes small so you can see causality. Ignoring outliers, flag travel days or crises, compare like with like. And forgetting wins, circle any day where depth minutes rose despite red load. Replicate what made that happen. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Metrics aren't a report card, they're steering. When you see amygdala triggers, power gaps, ambiguity, raise buffers, and tighten scopes. When HRV and sleep improve, lean into deeper work. Iterate weekly, not yearly. Identity level
Small
work,
dials,
the
big
anti-mask
dividends.
agreements. We've tuned the environment. Now we stabilize the driver. Identity level work is about becoming predictable to yourself so your nervous system stops scanning and your prefrontal gets to work. We'll write anti-mask agreements, small, always true behaviors that cut self-monitoring and make your performance feel like you, even in high stakes. Start with your always true behaviors. Pick 3 that you can commit to across contexts because they lower vigilance without costing results. Examples: I keep my natural speaking pace. I ask one clarifying question before deciding. I say thinking out loud when I draft in real time. The why matters. Predictability shrinks amygdala scanning and reduces the need to simulate a persona. You're stabilizing self-prediction, which frees working memory for the task, not the show. Next, retire your performance tells. These are the tiny moves you use to signal I'm safe that actually raise cognitive load. Maybe it's the filler laugh, the double apology, the over-agreeing totally, or the camera bright grin you can't sustain. Name 2 tells you'll retire and replace each with an authentic micro cue. Instead of the filler laugh, nod once and summarize. Got it, so the risk is timeline slip. Instead of the double apology, use a single thank you plus clarity. Thanks for flagging. Here's what I can commit. This swap removes impression management cycles while maintaining warmth. Now set your social values hierarchy. Safety, clarity, warmth, speed. Yes, warmth matters, but not before you and the other person feel safe and clear. Practically, that means you'll slow down to anchor scope before you rush to please. You'll protect safety first with a boundary or role label, then deliver clarity on goals, then add warmth, and only then chase speed. When you order values this way, SDT aligns. Relatedness gets met through real safety and clarity, not performance. Rehearse in low-stakes contexts. Don't debut a new identity cue in a board review. Use it in DMs with a peer or in a low-pressure call. Try thinking out loud, option costs less clarity later, or I'm keeping my natural pace so we land this clean. Track sleep and ease after these tests. If HRV and next day ease hold or improve, scale the behavior into higher stakes. Gradual exposure builds proof that your authentic cues work, which further lowers vigilance. Codify 3 agreements in writing. 1. Always true pace. I'll speak at my natural pace, I won't speed to fill silence. 2. Default disclosure boundary. I share process, not personal strain in live calls, deeper context goes async. 3. Decision ritual. I ask one clarifying question before committing. Put these on a sticky note near your screen. The moment the old mask tries to slip on, you've got a visible anchor. Add 2 identity anchors to your calendar. First, a pre-call anchor line in your notes. Role, editor. Values order, safety, clarity, warmth, speed. Second, a post-call anchor. One sentence I stood by. Writing a sentence you stood by reinforces identity continuity. Your brain learns, I did the thing I said I do, which tightens self-trust and reduces future scanning. Now create your authenticity floor. It's a non-negotiable boundary under which you won't perform, even if pressed. Examples: I won't mirror slang I don't use. I won't commit live without a written summary. Or, I won't keep camera on if sensory load is high. I'll stay on audio. You're not being difficult. You're preserving the conditions that let you deliver competence. Frame it as quality protection, not preference. Run a 2-week protocol. Week 1, test 1 agreement per day in low-stakes settings. Note your mask load index, sleep onset, and morning ease. Week 2, move 2 agreements into 1 medium-stakes meeting. Pair with a safety ritual and an autonomy script. Watch for shorter meetings, cleaner decisions, and a quieter post-call body. If an agreement creates friction, refine the phrasing, not the principle. Keep the behavior, adjust the wrapper. 2 quick stories. A senior IC replaced their fast talk to seem sharp, tell with a steady pace, and a default clarifying question. Their reviews shortened, and they reported less after meeting agitation. A marketer retired the over-warm sign-off and used a crisp summary line instead. Feedback improved, and they stopped dreading client emails. If you remember nothing else, identity predictability is a battery. Make yourself easy to be, and your system stops paying the surveillance tax. Safety rises, autonomy sticks, competence shows, on purpose without the mask. Calendar architecture for low-mask weeks. You've got the switches. Now let's design the week so you don't need to flip them every 5 minutes. Calendar architecture is about arranging time to reduce cumulative impression management and protect working memory recovery. We'll use 5 moves: theme days, social clustering, anchor blocks, recovery math, and a quarterly rebuild. Start with theme days. Separate deep work from social heavy where possible. Why? Your brain pays a metabolic cost every time it switches states. When you put deep work and performance back to back all day, vigilance never settles. Try this split: 2 deep lead days, 2 social lead days, 1 flex day. On deep lead days, meetings sit in one short window, not scattered. On social lead days, expect more red slots and plan buffers to match. Label days in your calendar so others learn your cadence. Deep build, collaborate review, flex ship. Now social clustering. Batch high-load interactions with buffers instead of peppering them everywhere. Put similar calls together, decision reviews with decision reviews, external with external, so scripts and role labels reuse cleanly. Then insert a green buffer after each cluster, 10 to 20 minutes of no performance. That spacing prevents red from bleeding across the afternoon. If you can't control timing, at least control adjacency. Never park a high-ambiguity meeting right before a deep block. Move it earlier with a taper or after lunch with a green buffer. Anchor blocks are your protected non-performance windows. They're not just holds, they're rules. 2 anchors on deep days, a morning 90-minute focus window and an afternoon 60-minute synthesis slot. Camera off, notifications down, clear deliverable. On social days, use a single afternoon anchor for output capture, summaries, decisions logged, briefs drafted, so competence pays off. Name anchors and invites, non-performance focus, no live asks. The clarity cuts opportunistic, quick syncs that become performance hours. Here's the recovery math. 1 unit of high load gets at least 1.5 units of buffer within 24 hours. If your mask load index for a cluster is, say, 12 in 1 hour, budget 18 points of green. A 30-minute walk, a 90-minute deep block, or 2 low-stakes async hours. You're aiming for HRV normalization inside a day, not a hero weekend. Track this lightly. Red unit count in your heat map, green units scheduled. When you respect the ratio, sleep onset shortens and next day ease climbs. Okay, let's wire this into a sample week. Monday, deep lead. Morning anchor 9, 00, 10, 30 on the strategy draft. Midday 30-minute async reviews. Short meeting window 2, 00, 3, 30, then a synthesis anchor 3:45, 4:45. Tuesday, social lead. Cluster stakeholder reviews 10, 00, 12, 00 with 10-minute buffers. Reserve 2, 33, 30 as the output anchor for decisions and briefs. Wednesday, deep lead again. Protect a long anchor 9, 00, 11, 00. Keep only 1 cluster 1, 002, 00. Thursday, social lead. External calls after a gentle ramp, tapering with a green buffer before end of day. Friday, flex ship, move 1 red slot from earlier in the week to a cleaner time, kill any zombie holds and ship summaries. 2 micro stories. A data lead moved all one-on-ones to Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, stacked, then installed a Friday ship block. Result: fewer context switch errors, cleaner feedback, and they stopped losing Monday momentum to stray chats. A design manager put crit sessions into a single Thursday morning batch with a pre-read, then used a 2-hour Friday anchor to lock specs. Decision latency dropped, and the team stopped noodling over the weekend. Quarterly rebuild is where this sticks. Once a quarter, audit your calendar for zombie meetings, recurring syncs without decisions, and replace them with async defaults. Send a simple policy: info and options are async, live time is for decisions. Archive low-signal rituals. Add standing anchors to recurring templates so new invites respect lanes. Recommunicate camera norms, response windows, and office hours. You're lowering baseline mask load index by reducing automatic performance asks. Edge handling matters. If you're hybrid, cluster on-site days and pack high-stakes syncs there. Protect the day after as deep recovery remote. If culture expects cameras on, set your rule. Camera for decisions, off for updates, and state it up front. Under power imbalance, place difficult meetings when your buffers are strongest. Late morning after a deep anchor, not 4:30 p.m. with no runway. Finally, install 2 guardrails. Guardrail 1, no red slot in the first 30 minutes of the day. Start with a shallow tile or a quick async review so momentum rises before performance. Guardrail 2, hard cutoff for last red slot, 90 minutes before shutdown. to protect your evening CNS buffer and sleep. These rails sound small. They prevent the one last call that steals tomorrow. Design weeks this way and you'll feel it. Fewer vigilant spikes, cleaner decisions, and deeper work that actually lands. Calendar is a nervous system tool. Use it that way. Edge cases, power imbalance, culture, remote hybrid. Some situations crank the vigilance dial, even when your habits are solid. Let's handle the tricky edges so safety holds and you don't pay the surveillance tax all day. Power imbalance first. When no isn't safe, clarity becomes your shield. Lead with a conditional frame that protects scope without provoking. I can take this if we drop X or move Y. What's your preference? That line keeps relatedness, preserves autonomy, and forces a trade-off. If they press harder, use role clarity, not emotion. Today I'm wearing the editor hat. Committing resources would be a different meeting. You're naming lanes, which reduces ambiguity, one of the biggest DACC insula triggers. If the ask is time-bound, offer a scoped yes. I can give you 5 minutes now, then I'll send a doc by 3 p.m. Small windows reduce impression management and protect working memory. When stakes are high and you can't exit, preload safety. 2 minutes before the meeting, horizon breathing. In the room, sit where your gaze can rest easily and you can see the agenda. Open with a lean scope. We've got 20 minutes to land A or B. That single sentence quiets. What am I missing? Scanning. Close with a clean debrief and written recap. Written artifacts reduce reputational ambiguity, which is a common post-call rumination driver. Culture next. Politeness norms vary, but masking isn't required to be respectful. Calibrate warmth without self-erasure by keeping 3 levers: brevity, rationale, option. Brevity, 1 sentence. Rationale, why this helps the shared goal. Option, where to go instead. For example, I'm keeping this to 20 so decisions land today. Details go in the doc, comments by 4 p.m. You've honored the norm with warmth while anchoring clarity and autonomy. Avoid over-explaining. It invites debate on your boundary and spikes cognitive load. If you work across cultures, pre-agree on channels and cadence. Try, we'll default to a sync for info, live time is for decisions. For feedback, I'll send bullets first. We can escalate to a quick call if needed. Those lines build predictable interaction patterns and shrink code switching demand. Remote realities. Camera norms can balloon monitoring. Set rules up front, camera for decisions, off for updates, chat cadence at 15 past. Pair with status lines, heads down 2-3, DM urgent only. You're reducing always-on scanning. In calls, park your self-view or use Minimize Me extensions to cut self-monitoring. Keep an on-screen agenda so eyes anchor to content, not faces. After the call, micro-escape and a 1-minute output capture to complete the stress cycle and lock memory. Chats and DMs. If your Slack feels like a hallway ambush, install batch windows. I check Slack at 15 each hour so I can ship without fragmenting. Tag urgent if you need me sooner. This keeps relatedness via a reachable path while protecting depth. Use templates for common replies to avoid improvising tone 10 times a day. Hybrid cadence. On-site days are read heavy by design, noise, drop-bys, social codes. Cluster them. Put high-stakes syncs on those days and plan green buffers the next morning. Deep anchor, no live asks, horizon breathing, protein first. Don't schedule a major deep block right after a commute-heavy day. You're fighting physiology. If leadership wants face time, define what counts. Decisions and collaboration on-site, updates and prep a sync. Publish the rule so expectations stabilize. Under strong hierarchy, escalate with scope constants. Soft no, I can't add this without moving Z conditional yes. If Z moves to Friday, I can take this today. Does that work? Firm lane, that decision sits with A, I'll prep options async. You're staying safe while keeping the system honest. If you need allies, pre-brief a peer to support the frame in the room. One reinforcement halves your vigilance. One more thing, record, edge wins. Anytime a boundary held under pressure, write the sentence you used. Reuse it. Predictable language lowers your monitoring next time, and that's the real compounding effect here. The flywheel. Safety right arrow autonomy, right arrow competence loop. Everything we've done points to one loop. When you run it in order, energy stops leaking and your attention watch time expands. Safety first. Quiet the amygdala and salience network so you're not burning fuel scanning for threats. That's the pre-post regulation, the clear meeting frame, the role label at the top. HRV inches up, sleep onset gets shorter, your body learns these contexts don't require constant guarding. Without safety, every other lever stalls. You'll keep paying in microsuppression and monitoring. Thereafter, autonomy. Once vigilance drops, you can make cleaner choices. A sync over sync, shorter windows, protected anchors. You stop accepting default calendars and start designing lanes. I choose to because turns controlled motivation into ownership. The reason this works is it shrinks ambiguity and state switching, which are metabolic drains. Your prefrontal isn't juggling 10 versions of you, it's working one plan. Then competence. With bandwidth back and choices aligned, performance becomes simpler. True self micro behaviors, natural pace, a default clarifying question, writing before committing, cut self-presentation cycles. Working memory goes to synthesis and decision-making, not to simulating charisma. You write tighter, spot trade-offs faster, and need fewer revision loops. People experience you as clearer and more consistent, which feeds safety again. Now the compounding part. Safety reduces vigilance, therefore autonomy becomes easier to exercise in the moment. Your scripts come out clean, your role labels land early. Therefore, competence expresses without friction, outputs improve, errors fall, review cycles short. Therefore, perceived threat drops. You're trusted for clarity and results, not performance. Therefore, safety deepens, amygdala settles faster, HRV trends improve. The loop speeds up, and your attention, watch time stretches into longer, calmer deep blocks. Quick micro story to make it concrete. A tech lead started every stakeholder review with a role label and a decision clock, ran horizon breathing between meetings, and moved status to a sync. Within 2 weeks, meetings shrank, decisions accelerated, and their nightly wind down got easier. That visible competence lowered pushback on future boundaries. Next month, they batched all reviews into 2 windows and protected 2 morning anchors. Output quality rose again. The flywheel was doing the work. Here's the checkpoint. If the loop stalls, check the order. Feeling scattered? You probably skipped safety, reinstall the ritual, and reassert the frame. Feeling resentful or flooded with asks? You probably skipped autonomy, deploy a script, and choose cadence. Feeling dull or second-guessing? Don't chase charm. Return to competence micro behaviors and let bandwidth show your skill. If you remember nothing else, pull safety, then autonomy, then competence in that order. Protect the order and the loop compounds. Break the order and you're back to performing. Implementation payoff, 10-minute starter plan. Here's a fast start you can run today in 10 minutes. Grab your calendar and run the 5-variable audit on the next 7 days. Estimate the mask load index for each meeting. Pick 2 red slots and install 1 circuit breaker plus 1 green buffer around each. Aim for HRV to stabilize within 24 hours. Write 1, I choose to because, script into the invite of the highest load event. Build a mask day MVM stack for tomorrow. 1 deep tile you can finish in 20 minutes, 2 shallow tiles for quick wins. After your last red slot tomorrow, do a 2-minute debrief and horizon breathing. Next morning, record sleep onset and ease 1.5, that's your baseline. Transformation, challenge, next step. The key shift is simple. Stop performing to feel safe and start designing safety so performance shows up. This week, run the audit, move 1 red slot, and upgrade 1 boundary. Watch for a small HRV uptick and easier sleep. If you want to lock in autonomy across your team and reclaim even more working memory, watch the advanced session on asynchronous architecture next. Subscribe for practical, neuroscience-backed systems that protect your energy and extend your deep work watch time.